Thank you so much, Mrs. Fleischer. This evening, I have two other individuals that will be joining me to provide updates. The first person is Dr. Jennifer Schumann, who is our Director of Special Education and Student Support Services, who will provide us with an update on our extended year program.
Thank you. Good evening, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak about this program. Extended School Year is a program that is for identified special education students. It includes special education and related services provided to students beyond the 180-day school year. This program is provided at no cost to parents, and it must be considered each year for every child with a disability at their annual IEP meeting. There are 7 factors, and no single factor can be used to determine eligibility for ESY. The graphic that's up there is part of a reference document that I shared with the board from PTAN, which is the PA Training and Technical Assistance Network from the Bureau of Special Education. The document states, ESY services are not daycare or respite services. They are not a summer recreation program or other program of services that are not required to ensure the provision of a free and appropriate public education to a student, even if they provide some educational benefit. It also states that ESY is always provided in the least restrictive environment that is appropriate for the student. This means that the student with disabilities is placed in a situation that allows opportunities to be with students who are not disabled. Mount Lebanon has a unique program in regards to ESY and summer learning. These programs are run together, which allows opportunities for inclusion with students with disabilities with regular education students. For our program housed at Mount Lebanon, we have grades K through 2 at Washington Elementary and grades 3 through 8 at Mellon Middle. We have current partnerships in place with the fire department, police department, and library, and various community-based instruction at uptown locations such as Rollers and Minios. For the past 13 years, I have had the pleasure of running school-based ESY programming. To have students in the school building over the summer is truly a delight. What I've learned in my brief tenure here at Mount Lebanon is that residents are fiercely proud of their community and its walkability. By having ESY at Washington and Mellon, it allows our students access to the T, the library, the public safety building, and various stores, restaurants, and other service providers. We have plans to extend learning beyond the classroom so students can become familiar with their neighborhood and its generous resources. Thank you. We've had some concerns in regards to staffing this program. I'm happy to report that our K-5 classes are 88% staffed with 2 positions open. Our grades 6 through 12 classes are 100% staffed. Our full-time autistic support and life skills support classes are 92% staffed with 1 position open. We have 1 ESL teacher, 1 counselor, 1 speech therapist, 1 physical therapist, and 2 substitutes that have already been contracted. We are awaiting 1 OT from the AIU. We have 4 Duquesne University students who will also be joining us and completing their practicum this summer. We have an approximate 1-to-5 ratio for staff to students, which is based on our projected enrollment. For the Duquesne University students, these are actually certified teachers who have chosen to pursue a master's degree or additional certification in special education. We are working in partnership with the university to fulfill the requirement for a practicum. By allowing them to complete this experience in the summer, they can maintain their full-time employment during the school year. With a shortage of teachers in special education, this is a wonderful opportunity for both parties. I think I skipped a slide on dates for the program. Are you able to go back? Thanks. So our program runs 9 to noon daily. We have dates starting in June, with the exception of June 19th for the federal holiday. We also have dates in July, no school July 4th for the holiday. And we have 1 extra week for autistic support and life skills support only. So the program runs 5 weeks for the majority of students with an extra 6 weeks for those that qualify. Transportation is provided by the district to students who are identified. Okay, so a sample schedule for our extended school year program would be 1 hour each of ELA, math, and social emotional learning. This is both group and individualized instruction per day. Students may receive push-in or pull-out related services such as speech, OT, and PT, depending on their IEP needs. We also offer push-in or pull-out counseling, group, and individualized sessions. Along with extended school year is the opportunity to learn in a fun and relaxed environment. So we will also offer enrichment opportunities. So you can see a sample schedule there. ESY is always provided in the least restrictive environment that is appropriate for the student. So we want to keep these students included as much as possible during the school day. For our progress monitoring, the students who are identified have IEP goals that were chosen by their case managers. We will be monitoring these goals at a minimum at least once weekly. At the end of the summer, data will be provided to the case manager to input into the student's current IEP. As stated in LG versus Wissahickon School District, an ESY program continues the goals and objectives of the IEP during the summer months after the school year has concluded, so the student does not regress from one school year to the next. It is a vehicle for preserving skills that the child has gained over the school year. For learning extensions, we are planning weekly theme days, community-based instruction, buddy classroom reading days, and I'm also open to additional partnerships. ESY is an abbreviated school day that provides opportunities in a fun, relaxed environment. It provides structure and stability to those who need reinforcement of skills throughout the summer break. Beyond the classroom, we have several activities planned for our students. And finally, we have our communication timeline. Informational flyers and calendars are available now. It is in draft form for the calendar because we are adding opportunities. The parents of students who are identified will receive a packet by May 15th with their child's assigned teacher and other information. Students with transportation will receive pickup and drop-off times, and parents will need to complete health forms, vacation notices, et cetera. We do have, as I said, a few remaining positions in our Summer Learning Center or extended school year, so I have the link there for job opportunities. In conclusion, I would state that with me being hired in terms of owning this program, we do have contractors in the program, but it is a Mount Lebanon program, and there is a renewed commitment to making it the best that it can be. I would love to hear suggestions on how other school groups or community partners can join us over the summer. Please contact my office for additional information, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dr. Schuman. The next update is going to be provided by Mr. Chris Stengel, and it's in regards to our Go Guardian Parent app update.
Hey, there's no microphone behind the column. Sorry. Hi, everybody. So my update is much shorter, single slide, but it's equally exciting in my world. And that is our web filter Go Guardian, which many or all of you hopefully are aware of, is what we use to help our students safely browse the internet on district-managed devices, Chromebooks, iPads, the like. Go Guardian has a feature called Go Guardian Parent, which we have turned on and are piloting this quarter and hopefully into next year if it's great, as I expect it will be. Everyone who has a family parent guardian account should have received an email from us last week with the instructions to enroll. Enrollment's on the left side of your dashboard. I've circled there, there's a thing called forms. Parents and guardians from the high school are well aware of forms if they've been doing medical exits and dance agreements and the like, but some of our families with younger students may not have used this as much. It's right there. And it is a simple yes and click submit. Once you enroll, within a few days, you will receive a second email from us with confirmation that you've been enrolled in the program, a couple help documents to get you started. Some of the features of the program are, it lets families have sort of some summary data about whether the students are going online, what they're browsing, et cetera. And it lets them set some parental controls for use of those devices outside of school hours. Which I believe I need better context, and I think the 7:30 to 4. But that's all in the email. And so outside of those hours, parents are able to, and family members are able to turn off the internet entirely, set schedules for on-off time, restrict access to certain websites, again, through district-managed devices while they are outside of school hours and at home. So it's pretty exciting. There's a lot of great help documentation available to it, and you all know by now our email of remotesupport@mtlsd.net sends your query to a crack team who can get back to you ASAP with questions and concerns.
Great. Thank you so much, Mr. Stengel.
You're welcome.
Okay, and the last part of the superintendent update is the 2024-2025 preliminary budget. For those of you that were in the room last week, you had the opportunity to see this preliminary budget, and for those of you that are new, I'm going to provide a brief overview of what we discussed last week. Before we get in, I just want to say that our mission is to provide the best education possible to each and every student, and we must work towards securing a stable financial future for our school district. Like many districts across the region and country, Mount Lebanon is facing considerable rise in costs across insurance, tuition, transportation, and just inflationary cost increases. Our ultimate goal as a district is not just a balanced budget, but a sustainable model that will guide Mount Lebanon into the future. Knowing that we will be faced with tough decisions in the near future, we are proceeding carefully and with purpose in making decisions for long-term stability. Last week when we were together, we talked about our preliminary revenues for the 2024-2025 school year. On this slide, you will see the information that was presented. You will see that this slide provides you with the budget for 23-24, our estimated final for 23-24, our preliminary budget for 24-25, and then a comparison of the estimated final for 23-24 versus 24-25, and then the budget for 23-24 and compared to the preliminary budget of 24-25. When you look at the preliminary budget for next school year, you will see that our revenues are projected at about $121.7 million. The next area that we discussed last week were preliminary revenues and the impact on taxpayers. The revenues that were shared of the $121.7 million includes a proposed tax increase of the Act 1 index at 6.2% or 1.7105 mils, which is the equivalent of approximately $4.2 million. Our current millage is 27.59, and our projected new millage for 2024-2025 would be 29.3005. This is a difference of the 1.7105 mils. At the bottom of this slide, you will see the impact on the assessed value of these home values: 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, 400,000, and 500,000. And it also gives you a breakdown of the tax increase per month and then the tax increase per year. We felt that this information was very important for planning and for our taxpayers to see what the impact this tax increase would have on their taxes. The next area is preliminary expenditures. On this slide, you'll see the 2022-2023 actual expenditures, the 23-24 adopted budget, our projected final for this school year, and then the preliminary budget for the 24-25 school year. In this area, you will see that the estimated preliminary expenditures will be approximately $124.2 million. Thinking about these budgets, it's important to take into consideration the risks and opportunities that they present. In terms of risks, we know that the interest rates can be affected by future Fed actions and that impact us both positively or negatively. State funding for basic education, special education, and grant funding will not be finalized by the time that we pass this budget, nor will it be finalized for anybody else in the state of Pennsylvania. PSERS rates expected to increase each year through 2034. Health insurance is expected to increase each year. Transportation and tuition costs are expected to continue to increase. The common level ratio may continue to impact real estate tax collection and refunds. We have open litigation cases, and it may also impact a reduction in workforce. In terms of opportunities, we do have the opportunity to continue to pursue grant opportunities, to build an intuitive budget based on past data and future needs, and this will also help us to create a strategic and comprehensive plan so that we may plan our future together. This last, or second to the last slide, is an overview of our multi-year financial projections. It's really important to take note of this slide. When we're looking at the current school year, you can see that we are currently projected to be at a deficit of $1.5 million to end out this school year. In previous months, we have reported on some things that we learned during the audit process this year that we are improving on in terms of procedures and practices, and just a deeper look at how we handle our financial matters here within the school district. Last month, we reported that this deficit was expected to be $1.9 million. We've been able to narrow that down by another $400,000 over the last month, which I shared last week, and I'll share again this week. It's due to our staff who have very seriously taken the memo that was shared about stop spending to make sure that we are operating our district in a more financially stable way. When you look at the estimated final, if you were to deduct that $1.5 million, that would leave us with an ending fund balance unassigned of just over $3 million. With the current preliminary budget in place, if we were to use fund balance to balance it, because we're currently at a deficit of $2.4 million, almost $2.5 million for next school year, that would leave us with an unassigned fund balance of $585,277. And then as you can see, for the next 3 years after that, it leaves us with a negative or a deficit in our fund balance, with only in 2028 being able to recover and get closer to a $2 million fund balance. It's incredibly important for the public to know that the preliminary budget includes using approximately $2.5 million of the fund balance to balance the budget. This preliminary budget would leave us with a minimal amount of fund balance. To ensure the 2024-2025 budget does not rely on the use of fund balance, the district will consider all options, including furloughs, reassignments, program modifications, further reduction in curriculum allocations, not filling our extra duty remunerations, to not use the fund balance. This will allow us and set us up for a more financially stable future. As I shared in the last slide, this does include the use of the fund balance. Our goal is not to do that. The administration has been meeting and will continue to meet with leaders from all work groups to discuss ways that we can meet our budget demands with minimal impact to students and staff. I think it's incredibly important, and I believe Mrs. Fleischer shared this at the beginning, that these considerations are part of a preliminary budget and subject to change as further planning and analysis takes place. This proactive planning underscores Mount Lebanon's commitment to ensuring a long-term, fiscally sustainable future for our school district. I'd also like to add, before I go on to the budget timeline, how incredibly important it is to me, to the leadership team, and to this board to be respectful of our staff. We know that these are really challenging times when you are worried about being contacted regarding a furlough or a reassignment. We're committed to working with our associations and with our work groups to ensure that they are communicated directly by us, not through the media, not through hearsay, but communication will come directly from us, and that we'll work with them on a solution together. We are very fortunate in this school district to work with incredible people who are here for the right reasons. That's our students, that's our staff, that's our families. Everybody is aligned on wanting to make sure that Mount Lebanon is the best possible school district for our students. And we as an administration and school board are committed to that as well. In terms of the budget timeline and next steps, you'll see that last week we had our budget forum, board review and discussion. Tonight we'll have a adoption of our preliminary budget. Tonight we will also vote on authorizing furloughs. May 13th, we'll continue the board review and discussion. May 20th will either be a final budget adoption if no furloughs are needed, or if furloughs are needed, the final budget will be adopted on June 17th of 2024. Whether it's May 20th or June 17th, we will also address board policy DFAA, which is the use of surplus funds that will need to be suspended for the fund balance requirement of 6%. And that's all I have for this evening, Mrs. Fleischer.